I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum!
Astro Radio Z is a horror, cult, exploitation film podcast by filmmakers, critics, musicians, journalists, and fans for the film obsessed. Here is your host, Derek Carey.
Welcome to another episode of Astro Radio Z. I'm your host, Derek Carey. And again, I'm here with my bud, Eric. And my girlfriend, Amy, decided to join us. Say hi to the listeners, Amy.
Hi to the listeners.
Amy is new to the world of shot-on-video horror. This isn't even a horror movie we're doing today, is it?
No, it's like a sleazy action movie, I think.
So,
that's essentially the deal.
We're going to be watching Nick Millard's Gunblast today. And I've never seen this movie. This is, we're actually recording this pre-watching the movie. Mm-hmm. Amy, have you ever watched a shot-on-video movie before in your life? Do you even know what shot-on-video movies?
I don't know what you're talking about, so I don't know.
Okay.
I like that that you maybe haven't seen of a video, or movie made on a camcorder, like a video camcorder from the 80s, because that's good. This is going to be interesting for you. I wish you'd have had reference to other more well-known ones. But I think, Derek will probably show you the ropes on those at some points.
Well, I mean, I just sort of showed up and didn't know what we were doing.
Right. So I think someday maybe video violence.
I've already done episodes on video violence, but...
Not an episode, but I mean just saying for showing her.
Okay, yeah. So what are movies... just for my listeners, I know the answer to this.
Yeah.
What are movies you generally don't like to watch, Amy?
Oh... I don't like creepy horror movies. I don't like anything with sad endings. I like feeling good at the end of movies. Or laughing really hard. Or things that are super ridiculous. I don't like anything else, really.
So this is completely... So video violence won't be in the cards, Eric.
No, I guess not. Jeez. Man. Well, there's plenty of other stuff that would fall in the wheelhouse of a shot-on-video flick that you might enjoy, but also hate.
Did I just get uninvited?
No, I don't think that's the case.
You and the pup have to go in the other room.
Yeah. Well,
this is going to be interesting to see how this shakes out today. This movie, Gunblast, do you want to give, because I've never seen it. I mean, I know Nick Millard through Crazy Fat Ethel and Criminally Insane and some of the other movies he's done. But do you want to give the listeners a little primer before we get into watching this movie?
Sure. Just to preface, I've never seen this movie either. The reason I wanted to see it is because I really enjoy Nick Millard movies. I think Death Nurse 1 and 2 are absolutely hilarious. Just because of how horrifically awful they are. And I actually really enjoy Criminally Insane because I think it's really creepy, and for being from 1975, it has a vibe that you don't get a lot of days, these days in horror movies. It's reasonably well done. And then Satan's Black Wedding, which I think came out the same year, or maybe the year after, is a totally different film, and it's really dark and kind of creepy, and so
it's kind of gothic.
Yeah, it's kind of gothic, and it's and it's got some really good imagery in it. So I like those films, and I like the sort of dichotomy between the stuff he did in the 70s, where he seemingly tried really hard and had something going, and then the stuff in the 80s, which is just oh, come on, man,
Well, I think the difference is when you have to shoot on film, you actually have to take care about what you're doing, because that costs money, and it's a finite resource. Where once people had video camcorders, which what we're talking about shot on video, Amy, is that once VHS camcorders came out to the general populace, people started thinking, oh, I can make movies with these and sell these, because video stores started
this is
popping up.
A whole movie that they
look like. This is where you're going to be like, oh, this looks like somebody's home movie.
Oh, totally.
But they were actually sold to video rental stores when video rental stores started, and people didn't know the wiser, because the cases looked exactly like the regular movies. But then you'd take them home and then be like, oh, shit, did my brother-in-law make this movie? What is this?
Yep.
So, just like how it is now, how people, you have phones that can shoot, you have DSLR cameras with SD cards, just an infinite resource of being able to continue to shoot and not really care about the quality of it.
Right.
Film, you only get so much film.
Right.
It costs so much money to process that, to
Even
buy
more
it.
back then, yeah.
So you got to get it right. You got to care about what you're doing. Where once you had video camcorders, it's like, whatever.
I mean,
shoot this. And
you rent the Betamax, cam for the weekend, and you'd have 2 long 10-hour days, and you have a fucking movie at the end of it.
Right.
Which is, and but interestingly though, a lot of times you would end up with something that, had it, been blessed with a bigger budget, would have been a movie that more people paid attention to and gave actual, gave actual time to and actually liked. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of movies, I can think of that are shot in video that I think are still good, which is why I wanted to watch, like I mentioned, Fatal Images as being really good, and Night Ripper, and the other movies that guy made. I'm trying to think. But anyways, there's a few movies like that. Like Video Violence had a bigger budget.
Yeah.
Satan Place had a bigger budget. You know what I mean? So there's a charm to these things. They have their own sort of vibe and their own sort of look. And I think there's also a lot of things that they get away with in these films that you wouldn't get away with in other movies that have higher budgets and have, people like saying, no, you got to cut this, or no, you got to do that. No, it's your own thing. So there's a lot of ridiculous stuff to the good and to the bad. So
I'll take your word for it.
okay, there's some, and there's plenty of stuff like I mentioned, like Nick Millard. In Death Nurse, there's one scene that sticks out to me the most where some lady is just making a sandwich for like 5 minutes, and literally it's a shot of her making a sandwich for 5 minutes.
Which you wouldn't do with film. Nobody would want to sit there and film
5
and
minutes
waste
of film.
film.
I mean, come on, that's got to be like, I'm sure that's thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. You know what I
Just
mean?
to sit for a 5-minute sequence.
Yeah, of some person making a fucking sandwich, and then the kill is 3 seconds tops, and it's just like.
But no matter what the film costs, why would you film making a sandwich?
Well, and so there's artistic choices in these films that are of questionable validity.
Amy, it's quote unquote art.
Art.
Right.
Whenever you're like, why is this happening? The answer is art. Or the answer is, I'm going to get paid for this. And it's true because, but like Derek mentioned, back in the 80s, when the home video market was starting to really take off, and it was booming. I mean,
Big time.
I don't know how old you are. I'm not going to assume your age, but if you
Do I have to tell you?
you don't have to tell me anything.
You have to disclose. My listeners demand
how
to
about
know
this?
the facts.
I don't need a number. Did you go to video stores when you were young?
Of course.
Okay, of course, Beads. Then so video stores.
So I can make assumptions now based
make
on
some
this
assumptions
data.
based on that.
Based on this data.
And when you went to these video stores, did they have VHS and beta tapes in them?
I don't know.
Oh, well, VHS probably. Do you remember
Well, of
tapes?
course VHS.
Okay, of course VHS. Right.
There we go.
So that's good enough. So you remember Friday night? I want to see some movies. I'm not going to the movies. You remember how busy it was in the video stores. I remember my mom and pop video store was insane.
Booming all the time.
All the time. And so there was money to be made. And it didn't matter, for horror fans, it didn't matter a lot of times if it was a good movie or not.
Oh.
Because all it was, hey, it's a movie I haven't seen. The cover is unbelievable.
Yeah.
The premise, is unbelievable. in the
Huckster
back.
salesman, man.
Oh, yeah. Which is like, I'll just give an example. This is us nerding out. But Blood Cult. Mm-hmm. When I first saw that cover, I was like, I have to see that
Fucking
movie
hatchet
immediately.
with blood.
With blood all over it.
Yeah.
What would you not want to see about that?
Well, was it really good?
And so it's one of the first movies that was shot on video, released to the home video market, one of the first, and people ate that shit up. It was successful. And so that's when other filmmakers were like, I don't need a lot of money to put out something. I can get a cover made that costs whatever. I can spend $1,000 or $3,000 at most and rent a cam and get this crap out there, and then I can make exponentially amount of money back. And then at some point the bubble's going to burst and people are like, oh my God, this is...
I'd rather be watching actual filmed on film
right
movies where,
Exactly.
like I had said before, these were bait and switches.
Yeah, totally.
The way they were sold
totally.
were I'm going to take home, because at that point the studios that were making the big budget movies didn't want to relinquish their licensing rights to home video, because they wanted to keep it exclusive to movie theaters. They just wanted, because they owned the movie theaters.
Yep.
They made all the money from that, and they figured once they put it into rental shops that they lost that repeat money from each subsequent view that the people would have of those movies.
Which is why it was insanely expensive to buy movies back in the day.
Like
if you wanted,
$100.
Yeah, like if you wanted to buy a movie, own it outright, it was like $80, $100, $150 to buy.
Just one tape.
Yeah, which is why the rental, which made sense. They set it all up. This was all a big ruse. They wanted you to rent the movie. So if they knew they could get rental fees out of you and late fees and all that stuff, they were going to try to put as much stuff in front of you, because you're not going to deal with having the same 20, 30 movies to watch over and over again. You got to have, especially in horror, you got to have tons of garbage to select.
Yeah.
Which is why, after you've seen all the Friday the 13th, after you've seen all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, what are you watching next? Oh, I guess I'm going to go pull Death Nurse off the shelf. And,
I'm gonna get Blood Cult.
Right,
And,
right.
and let's be very clear and honest about this. Nobody would, with their right mind, would walk into a video store, normal person, and rent Blood Cult. Mm-hmm. If they knew what it looked like.
Yeah.
It was a real movie.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
It's actually like, take a movie filmed on film and just film it with a camcorder. It still had good editing, still had relatively decent acting, a score.
The
it
effects
still felt like a movie.
Yeah.
But it looked like somebody's home video.
Right. If you didn't know better, if your setup was bad enough, you might think it was a fucking snuff film, at some point.
Well, that's some of the charm of some of that, like video violence, for sure.
That's totally what that is. And there's, but they had the campiness to them where they were, a lot of those movies didn't have that cruelty that you get, like, with the later sort of shot on video sort of stuff, or like, the stuff that the Japanese.
Or the stuff that's going on now.
Right. Yeah. Where it's just like torture porn, essentially.
Like Lolita vibrator torture.
Right.
We covered that on fucking Orgy Castle.
Yep.
That was the last straw. I'm like, dude, I can't do this shit anymore. Please don't make me watch any more of this.
Yeah, and I'm not. It's not that I'm morally opposed. It's that I'm opposed to spending my time watching something that I do not elicit any joy from.
Yep.
I watch it. I'm like, this is. I could deal with like 30 seconds of this and be like, okay, I've seen this. I was also 17 and had access to fucking, whatever shitty rotten.com or whatever the fuck was around back then. Back when. And that's the thing I was going to mention too. This being before the internet, obviously with all the shot and video stuff, you only had word of mouth. You had the people in the shop, and you had anyone else who was stupid or brave or whatever enough to have rented the movie and actually seen it and could give you any sort of review. And the people in the video store, a lot of them weren't, either they didn't watch it because it was too crappy even for them, or they're like, they're not going to tell you it's horrible because then you're not going to spend money with them. So that's what it came down to. But later on, I remember, when I first started seeing these movies was the first time I ever saw Cannibal Campouts.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I had no idea what I was really in for.
And that cover is something.
And it really attracts you. It really is like, wow, I love garbage. I love violence. I've seen all these other movies that are here. Let's get this going.
So Amy had a very confounded look on her face when you said, I love garbage. What was running through your head when he said that?
Well, so is that it? That this is a genre? Garbage movies are my favorite, and so
you know what?
Why we're watching.
You've got this down already. I think you really do because I mean, don't get me wrong. I like things that probably from a critical standpoint are at least more lauded. I like typical movies a lot too, but I love watching trash. If you looked at all the movies in my basement, you saw a lot of them look horrible, right? That's because most of them are. But I still enjoy them.
I mean, I don't want to judge.
No, it's not judging. It's you can't look at an Andy Milligan film and not realize it's shit.
It's going to be shit.
It's shit. But it's the kind of shit where you watch it and you get some sort of enjoyment from it. I don't know what part of my brain is like, fucking triggering in the good way when I'm watching these things. I just know that I get some sort of enjoyment from laughing at how bad they are. And then from thinking too deep about, God, what was he thinking when he shot this? Yeah. Or where was this made and how did he get that horrible effect? Me
personally, it's always the fascination with how far people will go with things.
Yes.
Like it's something so weird and so out of the norm. It's like, where the fuck did this come from?
Yeah. Oh,
That's what's more interesting to me, I think, now.
Yeah.
Before we get into this, Amy, seeing how this is a VHS copy we're watching, and this is your first foray, I want you, hey, here's the copy of Gunblast. This is, when you see this, can you describe to listeners what this case is showing you right now? The VHS copy, the front cover. What's on the front cover of Gunblast?
Yeah, so I wouldn't watch this on my own, judging by the cover, since supposedly that's how you guys choose your movies. But
yeah, 80% true. Yeah,
you know,
I'm loving this right now.
Super cheesy, 80s-ish.
Mm-hmm.
The title Gunblast looks like kind of trying to be comic book. A guy with a shotgun and an old car. Not interesting.
What about the back?
Oh,
Look at the back.
well. So you can see these people a little more clearly. I'm a little interested in the lady with the 80s bouffant red bra pose. I'm not sure what the guy on the bottom is doing. What is that?
Boy, I'm gonna have to look a little closer at that if you wouldn't mind. Well, I'm not really sure what the hell that is. He's holding a shotgun with one hand, which I want to tell him. I want to jump through this and be like, "Hey, hunter safety class. Hello, you don't hold a fucking shotgun with one hand. You just don't do it. You don't do that with any gun, because that's what happens in movies only, but that would ruin the fun of Gunblast.
Of course.
I also want to point out, too, on the cover, the title Gunblast is all one word, but if you turn it over and look at the title here, it's Mogul Presents Gun Space Blast, which really annoys me for some reason. I just have this OCD thing about that. The movie's is either called Gunblast or it's Gunblast. What fucking what is it?
Well, what's the difference?
Well, there's a space in one and not a space in the other. It's very disturbing to me. I need to know organizational purposes in my mind, because the other thing about movies is there's so many movies that have the same fucking title, and that's what makes it hard, because and there's probably not a ton of movies that have Gunblast as the title, but I mean,
this is a collector's mentality.
Right.
This is OCD.
This is OCD.
I have a shelf in which I'm alphabetically putting these in order.
Yep.
And holy fuck, this fucks up everything.
Yes, and it's just it's like, what movie was I looking for the other day? Oh, Body Count. So there's so many different movies that are called Body Count, and there's also a couple that are called Body Count, all one word. So if I want to find the specific body count movie that I'm looking for, it's really fucking hard. And so, I was searching for years for this one movie, and finally somebody listed it on some fucking lame group that I'm on, and I was like, oh my god, that's the cover. That's the movie I've been looking for, and I went for it, and of course some guy's like, oh, I got this, like way before I could respond, and I was like, no, because I've had a listing. I've had a save search on my eBay account for probably 4 years, and every time, and it's always like Body Count, the rap fucking CD comes up, or like fucking like
Cop Killer,
right? Or it'll be like Body Count, like one of the other 80 movies that it's called Body Count, or occasionally it's that Italian Body Count.
Yeah.
I can't remember who directed that.
Is that a Henry Silva movie?
I don't remember. I think I only have a bootleg of it, but it's an Italian flick, and
Sure.
And it's a slasher, and it's ridiculous. And there's also a shot and video movie called Body Count, all one word. But I was saying, that's just sort of
Is
why.
there more than one Gunblast? Is that the problem?
So I'm curious now. I'd be worried that if I was going to do a search for this on eBay, you just never know, or somewhere. You just never know, Amazon. You never know if someone's going to be like, oh, it's Gunblast, and they might have this listed for someone, me or whoever, and they don't get a copy because they're not searching for all one word Gunblast. Mm-hmm. Or it's just in my mind organizationally, it's like, fuck, is there another movie called Gunblast? And should I care? Is this?
Probably not.
I need closure.
I absolutely need every movie named Gunblast.
Absolutely. I think I'm just going to start buying every fucking movie called Body Count to get them out of circulation. And so eventually I'll get the one I want. It'll be cheaper probably in the end.
But you'll open it and it won't be...
No, it'll be the wrong tape. It'll be... Inevitably, I'll get it'll be like Kindergarten Cop or something.
Dude, all right, folks, we're going to stop this. And we're going to take a break here on the podcast. And when we come back, we'll have watched the masterpiece that I'm hoping will be Nick Millard's Gunblast. So, any final words, Amy, before you get your first taste of shot on video?
Oh, man. No.
Okay, well, good luck.
You're really jumping to the deep end here, I gotta say. I don't even know how to
We just
put this
met.
into
This better be
perspective.
good.
Yeah. It's gonna be good.
This better be good.
This better be good. Shit. On that note.
Jacked up Ford.
Aliens, ninja, terrorists, drug dealers, barbarians, even drug-dealing alien ninja terrorist barbarians. Daniel has faced them all and survived. But now, he is faced with a new threat. A threat that cannot be faced alone. To conquer this new enemy, Daniel must call on his friends.
We've got company.
Shoot her! Shoot her! She's the imposter!
We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
This is our finest artwork.
Your box art made a promise!
Don't do anything stupid.
Where'd you hide the diamonds?
From the top shelf, this place looks a lot smaller.
You're out of line, Daniel.
And we're out of time!
Top shelf? That's nice and all, but I prefer the bottom rack.
Nice rack.
This summer, reach for the bottom.
It's a trick. Daniel, don't click the blue wire.
This is bottom shelf entertainment.
This is your top shelf lifestyle, baby! Woo!
The bottom rack, mockbuster summer.
You see, anybody can see a great film. But the diehard movie watcher, like a real film fan,
and there's nothing you or anyone else can do to stop me.
Where are you?
Those are the types of people that watch this.
4 weeks, 4 films, forced to watch this horror. The Bottom Rack, Mockbuster Summer, Earth Defense Force, Reach for the Bottom. Coming this July.
You are listening to Astro Radio Z.
Astro Zombies, before we get into the episode proper, I have to set this up a little bit. We did this on the fly, and our friend Rich, who you guys know from the episode that we did on George Romero's Martin, decided to pop in and join us and watch Gunblast with us. He's in this main part of the episode talking. We kind of introduce him, but not really. So if you hear this third voice that you're not familiar with other than Amy and Eric, that is my friend Rich. So hope you guys enjoy this. Let's continue. So welcome back, folks, from the break. We just got done watching the absolute cinematic masterpiece that was Nick Millard's Gunblast, which we found out was the sequel to another movie. What was the other movie?
357 Magnum, I believe, is the sequel to that. And then he had another movie. I don't know if it's tied in or not, but it's called The Terrorists. It might have been part of a loose trilogy. I'm not really sure, but it's for sure a sequel to 357 Magnum, which is another Nick Millard film that I don't own, amazingly. So,
and now that we watched the sequel, Amy, did you feel that you were lost at all? Like you had missed key portions of the plot of this film?
There's no plot. I would be very surprised if the first film that this is a sequel to has a plot. No, nothing. There was nothing.
So, listeners, here's what the back of the VHS box says is the plot of said movie Gunblast. He is loose again, and no one is safe. Grant is an ex-convict just released from an 8-year stretch in San Quentin. He gets involved in the twilight world of an international narcotics syndicate importing heroin into the United States. The stakes are high, and the risks are great in this hard-hitting powerhouse action thriller. Now, Rich, do you believe any of these words that are written here on the back of the box?
I think I missed the crime syndicate. I saw.
You saw 3 guys?
I saw 2 guys. I saw the Latin Hal Holbrook. and I saw one other, the gun juggler. That was it. That was the entire syndicate.
Oh yeah, there's two guys, and wow.
Amy, this is your first foray into Nick Millard and quote unquote shot on video.
Yeah, which is interesting. I think you're right. I don't think this is shot on video.
Yeah.
I think this is shot on film.
This was definitely shot on film.
Or at the very most, if it was shot on video, it was maybe transferred to film later. But even then, it doesn't seem likely based on what I'm seeing here.
The reason why you picked this for this episode is that you looked in your encyclopedia, Analog Nightmares.
Yeah.
And it's listed as a shot on video film.
Yeah.
We pop it in. And yes, there are interstitials that were obviously created on a film toaster for tape.
Yeah.
But the movie itself has scratch marks.
Absolutely.
That only can be present on stuff shot on film.
Right.
Right.
So I'm guessing, and this is a reference to the book Analog Nightmares by Richard Mogg, which definitely you should still check out. But listing this as a shot on video film, I think, is erroneous. And if someone out there has some evidence to the contrary, please, I want to see it or hear it or see what you have to say or whatever. But because I think this is not shot on video. So, Amy, I feel like we've given you a really bad intro to shot on video because you didn't watch a shot on video flick. But
I'll give you another chance.
Okay, good.
Are you disappointed?
No. Are you?
Amy, are you disappointed?
Are you disappointed? Sorry.
Well, I don't know that I had any expectations. I probably should have had some.
That's all right.
This was not good.
In what way was this not good?
That whole, the description of the film that you read, not even close. I don't think they watched the movie when they wrote that.
Oh, I can guarantee that that's the fact.
And IMDb summed it up. I think what they basically said was, a woman hires a hitman to kill her ex-boyfriend and then falls for that hitman. So that kind of makes sense.
It does. The movie itself plays out like this. We get introduced at the beginning of this movie to a drug deal in which an ongoing motif that would play itself out through the film, 3 or 4 separate shots, none of them shot in the same area, edited together to make it look like these things are happening at the same time, where this guy walks up by a chain link fence that almost looks like it's at like an airport with a big box of flowers, which obviously is supposed to be the drugs.
Right, it's supposed to represent drugs because you always transport your drugs in flower boxes.
Yes, brings them over to these two guys. One guy that's dressed head to toe in denim.
Yep.
And the other guy in a suit that we're supposed to believe these are two Mexican individuals.
Right, which they didn't look very Mexican or sound very Mexican to me, but I guess maybe that's me being stereotypical, so fine. They're Mexicans, great, sure. For the sake of argument.
We'll just go with it.
We'll go with it.
In Nick Millard's world, these were Mexican individuals.
Probably the only 2 Mexicans he ever met in his whole life. But
So they walk up, he hands them over, and this other guy walks down the street, stands, and aims a gun at the denim guy.
Yeah.
For at least 3 or 4 minutes.
Oh my God, at least.
The denim guy gets the drugs, then proceeds to walk all the way over, and we're supposed to believe there's a standoff going on between these two guys.
But it's 2 different shots.
2 completely different shots.
It's one shot of a guy just holding a gun, and another shot of a guy driving and then walking towards this guy holding a gun. But you never see them in the same shot ever. There's never any indication that they're occupying the same space. For even like the same day or time, you know? I mean, and that happens, what, 3 other times? Not the whole movie. Every action sequence that happens action, quote unquote. Thank you for putting that in perspective.
Yeah, the line on the back of here that says it's a hard-hitting powerhouse action thriller is actually erroneous.
Oh my God. It's totally erroneous. There's nothing hard-hitting. And action, I mean, yeah, I guess, but I've seen erotic thrillers with more action than this thing fucking had.
This is more in line with an erotic thriller because this movie essentially is the story of the 63-year-old man who supposedly gets out of jail, walks around, looks like 42nd Street in New York, goes to some titty places because there's... If anything, this movie is a fetish video for guys that really like nipples.
Oh my God, there's so much nipple playing like going on in this film. Like there's, and that's what's one thing. It's Nick Millard shot some skin flicks in the late 60s and 70s, and there are scenes literally lifted from those movies that are just interspersed into this thing randomly, I think 3 times. Yeah. And it's literally, the first scene is just a girl playing with her nipples and trying to lick her nipples, but you can't do it. Yeah, for like 5 minutes. And I'm thinking to myself, you could have put an action scene here. You could have put a scene that explains anything else that could be happening here, but instead you just chose to put some fucking girl playing with her boobs. And I mean, from a story standpoint, that's...
Now having seen the whole movie, and I would love to hear your guys' rebuttals to this, but I feel that first sequence, which we see our 63-year-old man, what was his name? Did anyone even get
a name?
That's my point. Is I don't know any of the names of any of the dudes in this movie.
Roy Grant, according to this.
So Roy is wandering around the streets, going to various strip clubs, and he winds up in this club where I'm guessing this is the case. He goes to like a theater and watches this sex show of this lady licking her nipples. I am guessing that this is to set up the rest of the movie. This is his fetish. He is pulled into the world of nipple licking because the rest of the movie is he meets this woman who gets him entangled with this quote unquote drug syndicate. Yeah. Which is just 2 dudes. Right. And this lady and him fall and get romantically entangled. Right. Which is basically they just sit around in his apartment and he mashes his face up against her breasts.
Right.
Like
and then plays their nipples
scenes.
Later on for like a good 5 minutes.
But it's all like bored nipple.
Yeah,
play.
no,
it's all.
and I just sort of put it together too. So that's where I think the sequel part comes in, because basically when the guy comes back, Roy Grant comes back from the sex show, this woman whose name is Maria, it turns out, is waiting in the
That's never said in the movie.
That's never said in the movie ever. Right?
None of the names of these people are ever
if they did, it was in passing barely. And so he comes back to his room, his hotel room, and she's just there. And then she's hiring him without any prior explanation of who this guy even is or anything. So we have to, I guess, assume in 357 Magnum, which is
there's a reputation that precedes him.
Right. That this guy, I mean, at some point they did mention in the film, he spent the last 7 years in prison or something. So he must have been naughty at one point. Yes. And that's why she knows him and ostensibly wants to hire him to rip off her ex-boyfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, the one of the 2 guys in the crime syndicate. Yes. So that, I think, is the plot, basically. He wants to hire this guy she wants to hire this guy to get money and basically but then she ends up, I think, falling for him.
Well, because about 70% of this movie takes place in 3 apartment rooms where they are talking about doing this, but mostly sitting around staring off into space and licking nipples.
Yes.
There's not that much talking about anything.
No. And, one of the things I mentioned, I think, earlier about Nick Millard is how he loves those shots where people are doing something so banal and boring, and he just fixates on that. And that was in this, in the beginning, what is he doing? He's he's reading the Playboy, and they just have a shot of him reading a Playboy for 5 minutes. But then before that, he was eating beans. He's they show him opening the can of beans slowly, grabbing a spoon, eating some fucking beans, and it's 4 minutes of this in the beginning. And it's okay, we get it. He likes beans.
He was hungry and had
all right,
a snack.
man, he's eating beans, cool. Could you get to the action? It's and then,
no,
and then
too much ass, too much ass. We have, I think it's not until 20 minutes later where we go back to the guy who shot the other dude in the beginning.
Yeah, he's one of the crime syndicate guys.
Denim guy is
Denim
out,
guy.
quote unquote, training.
Yeah. Yes.
He's in the middle of the desert with his trusty gun.
Yep.
Juggling it back and forth.
Yeah.
For at least 5 minutes, the sequence goes on where he's shooting bottles.
He's like throwing bottles in the air
and he's
shooting
juggling.
them.
He's juggling his gun back and forth in the same shot used at least 5 times.
It's actually that scene's actually amazing to me. The whole segment, because when he throws, like you said, when he throws the bottles up in the air, you could see he's completely fucking missing them when he's shooting.
Well, it's just a sound effect. The gun is just a sound effect.
Yeah, and then you could see like the shadows of the bottles falling like intact,
and the sound effect happens after they've already hit the ground.
Yeah, and just him like awkwardly throwing his gun between his two hands, like in front of him, like it's
supposed to be impressive.
It's supposed to be impressive. It's like, it's not like he's like doing like a gun spinning trick or like, you know, like an old west trick. He's just throwing his gun between his hands, like it's supposed to be intimidating or clever or I don't know what.
This is supposed to be of practical use in some way.
Yeah, and is that scene or segment before or after the best scene in the movie?
Oh,
it's after.
Okay, yeah, that must be after because there was a scene prior to that where he's in a bar.
Scene of the film.
Yeah, the second. There's 3 action scenes in this film.
3 essentially. Yeah.
There's essentially 4. You're right. There's 4 action scenes in this film. 2 of them happen within a couple minutes of each other because it's the climax.
Yeah.
But there is the first scene we already talked about between the 2 guys awkwardly 5 feet away from each other, shooting at point blank range and missing each other.
Introducing the criminal syndicate,
right?
With the flower drug bit.
Then, denim guy is at a bar, a quote unquote bar, drinking shots. And Amy, would you like to lay out what happens in this scene?
Yeah, I want to hear you describe that.
Oh, thank you so much. So this man walks in slowly, and I hope I say this quote right. I didn't think it was a bar. I thought it was like the dude's apartment.
Well, again, it's 2 shots that aren't in the same room, but they're edited together in a way that we're supposed to believe it's the same space, but it's clearly not.
And it's so great that way. Like they're never in the same shot. You have no indication these people are even in the same space. But
anyway, so this guy walks into the room.
Yes, and very monotone, slowly says something like, "You had sex with my girlfriend. I'm here to kill you."
Yes.
What's the actual quote?
He's like, "Hey, you had sex with my woman last night.
I kill you.
Yeah, I kill you. I think I'm going to kill you. And then Denim Guy delivers what might be one of the best things I've seen or heard in a film in a long time, where he just says, "Yes, that's right. And I fucked your sister last night, and I fucked your mother the night before that." And then it just turns into a gunfight.
Yeah, and then he pops up out of his stool, and the 2 of them, which were to believe they're in the same room, probably 6 feet away from each other, shooting point blank at each other, missing each other for a minute straight.
And the guy who comes in angry shoots first. And of course, he's like, supposed to be like, "As far as I am away from you." And it's like basically point blank.
Yeah.
And you couldn't miss. Like, it doesn't matter how bad you are with a gun, you cannot miss. And the guy's getting shot at, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm in a gunfight here." And so Denim Guy just like casually pulls his gun up. Obviously not shot. And then shoots the fuck out of the other guy.
And he goes back to drinking.
No blood. No blood. And it's constantly cutting between Denim Guy and his own shot and the fucking angry "you fucked my woman" guy.
I kill you.
Shot. I kill you guy in the other shot. And never till the twain meet. And it's just, oh my God. I really want to know why they weren't in the same shot.
Because this, obviously, as you had said, all of the nipple licking scenes with the lady that had the blue eyeshadow from some other movie, this was a movie that was cobbled together.
Easily. And what's even weirder and what sort of is striking, I guess, and might be kind of like the shot on video sort of element they're talking about here is the transitions where they have like the text, essentially the text cards between scenes, like August 3rd, you know what I mean? It's like the horrible font.
Near Albuquerque, New Mexico, October 23rd.
Which is a staple of shot and video flicks. They do that stuff all the time where they have like the worst looking text and font, and it's like quite obviously like, even bad looking for the time. You know what I mean?
Well, one thing that gives it away too, that it might have been done well after the fact, is that when those interstitials come on, the audio drops out completely. It completely drops out, and sometimes there was music going there, and then once the interstitial comes on, all of a sudden when it cuts back to the movie, the music like abruptly starts up again.
Yep. It's all just hard edits, and it's really, really bizarre. And the hardest edits and the most bizarre ones are when the skin flick scenes just come on out of nowhere. And it happens, 3 times?
Yeah, at least.
For sure. Like there's the first one, which is like literally just a girl playing with her nipples, and then you get a full vagina shot, which you don't get a lot of times in non-pornography films. You know, you get bush at most, but this was everything. And then there was the other girl who had that very assertive eyeshadow, who
that's kind.
That's being nice. I mean, like you could see that shit from the fucking space station. Yes. I mean, it was like, you know, it showed more like a clown afterwards. And then she was playing with her nipples for like a good solid 3 minutes. And then there's a scene of the main guy, the main Roy Grant, whatever his name is, when he plays with that Maria lady's nipples. That scene is forever. Like their sex scene, and it's so awkward. They're standing up. He's like just fucking like going all over her boobs, but he's mostly just like pulling on
tweaking them nips, man.
I mean, like there's so much nipple torture in this movie. I can't even begin.
Oh God, and she just loving it.
Yeah,
she's loving this dude.
Oh yeah, it seems like she really digs him.
No, it doesn't. She does not. She sticks around.
Like I said earlier,
you know,
the question was just how much cocaine are you giving me to be here for the 20 minutes I need to be here to shoot these horrible scenes?
We had figured while we were watching this movie, because it kept going so long, and this guy supposedly had been in a bunch of Millard's movies. The movie looked like it was cobbled together for $20.
Oh, easily.
And 2, did this guy, the lead actor, that I'm just going to call Gunblast. His name's...
That's a much better name for him.
His name's Roy, but I'm going to call him Gunblast.
Roy Grant.
Yeah. No, his name's Gunblast.
He's Gunblast.
So we guessed that Gunblast must have been paid in nipple screen time.
Oh, for sure.
Like how many? He goes up. Nick Millard goes, "Hey, I got a sequel to this other movie you were in."
Yeah.
I don't have much money. Gunblast goes, whoa, hold on a second. What kind of nipple action we got going on in this?
Right.
4 scenes. I'm in.
An ounce of Coke.
In an ounce of Coke. We got an 8-ball.
You got an 8-ball and four hard nipple scenes. Got it.
But what about the one long song? The music.
Yeah.
There was mariachi, like flamenco guitar going on through most of this. Then all of a sudden, halfway through, Amy, you had noticed there's like yodeling going on for the rest of
It's like a native chanting almost, but it's like just really off-putting and out of place and bizarre. And it happened out of nowhere. And I'm like, okay, this is just going to be in the scene for like a minute. And then it's like the last 15 minutes of the movie by now.
So guys, that was something.
Yeah.
Well, we still have to get to the climax. I know you're like, okay, I'm ready to be done with this.
Well, I was just surprised to see a movie that where the plot doesn't go past the 2 or 3 sentences that you described on the back of the box. Like, it didn't go past that. I mean, this guy obviously probably did some softcore porn or something before that, because that was it. Those 2 sentences you said, that was the entire plot of the film. And it's kind of interesting because, you know, Eric's the one that introduced me to shot on video. And usually when you dig into a genre, you get into more and more complex films.
Yeah.
But we seem to have
regressed
backwards, which seems completely appropriate when going into shot on video films.
Like it should get progressively worse as we go along. Like we've skimmed the top of like the cream of it. Now we're getting into
this is a higher level shot on. Well,
no, this was film.
A higher, lower level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, it's in Analog Nightmares book.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll go with the fact that this guy knows far more than we do about this. So
he's done the research. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say it's an SOV. That's fine.
It's not. It's shot on film.
Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. Well, for the sake of argument and for our podcast, we'll just
I'm gonna count it.
And by the nature of the fact that many of Millard's films, including his most well-known,
are shot on
video for sure. Those being being Death Nurse, and although Criminally Insane was definitely shot in film, and it looks almost the same as this movie. But nevertheless, you're right. I mean,
but him making it so simple is almost makes him an auteur in this genre of film. Here.
It's almost like Jean Rollin. It's like watching the two female vampires, or where it's an art film almost, because it's like long shots of Gunblast contemplating, smoking a cigarette and drinking whiskey out of a yellow plastic cup.
Oh, that he took the toothbrush out of.
Oh, yeah.
So the lady comes by his house in one scene, and he has two cups, one obviously with a toothbrush in it. He brings a little handle of fucking whiskey, takes the toothbrush out, and pours whiskey in both of those cups and hands it to her.
So good.
That's classy.
That guy is just so classy.
Yes. Gunblast is the epitome of class.
He really is. He just oozes it. If I was going to think of classy guy from shitty 80s movies, he would be the top cream of the fucking crop right there.
I mean, if backwash toothpaste whiskey / plays with your nipples for hours is your thing,
it's definitely
your movie.
This is your movie. So we get to the climax of this movie, which this movie is only 60 minutes long, 65 minutes long.
It felt so much longer.
The climax happens with maybe 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes left of this movie.
Yeah. Which is crazy, because the whole build up to the climax. I mean, there's a long segment of nothing again that happens about the 3/4 mark of this film before the fucking climax happens.
Arguably, 80% of this movie is nothing.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
It's just fucking nipple. I mean, even the nipple touching. I mean, there's parts that aren't the nipple touching that are nothing. The nipple touching. The nipple touching goes on for, and this is it's coming from someone who is fine with nipple touching. But it goes on for many minutes too long.
I just want you to know I'm very good with nipple touching.
I have no problem with it,
Nipple touching can be fun. That was terrible.
Yeah, it's too many minutes. A minute or two maybe, but 5-6 minutes? Come on.
Seeing how short this movie was, he actually spent probably about 20% of the film making road spikes.
Right.
So we get to the climax. Where Gunblast is setting up road spikes with nails and this little rubber strip.
Cord cover, I think what it was.
Cord cover, I think you're right.
So basically they're trying to get Denim Guy and the other guy that's in that crime syndicate.
The syndicate.
They're trying to trap him, because basically the whole time the idea was they were going to fucking rip him off. They were going to lure him into a trap and get their money, and then this Maria and then Gunblast are going to ride off into the sunset with their money. That's the whole point of this thing.
Yeah.
So they throw the road spikes out.
Which is only 4 feet of road spikes.
Yeah.
And we're talking in the desert. It's not like this car could have just missed them completely.
Right. And
it's not in the middle of the road.
Of course he runs him over, Denim Guy, and he gets out.
But we don't see it because it's edited so poorly that we're just to suppose, because Denim Guy gets out of the car and all of a sudden kicks the tires and looks down what the fuck?
Right. There's no budget to have flat tires in any of these Nick Millard movies.
Or even the sound of a flat tire.
Right, none.
Well, we had to guess that later on. He hit the road spike.
The entire this whole climax of the movie is guesswork, because it's some of the worst shot, worst edited, the continuity, sense of direction.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are a stickler for the 180 line, throw that shit down the toilet and flush it, because you're not going to understand what's going on.
We had to use Denim Guy's fabulous acting and getting out of the car and looking at the tire to realize that the tire was actually flat. Because there was no sound or action that showed that the tire was flat.
It's all drawing inference. That's pretty much what that whole end scene could be described as.
That's
drawing
the whole movie.
Yeah, you had to really okay, I'm going to kind of import my own plot here and fill in some blanks and this is really entertaining.
Story and script.
Yeah,
the one that confused us the most had to have been now Gunblast and his love interest have set up this whole kind of I guess trap
with
for the
spikes.
syndicate.
Yeah.
Where Gunblast runs behind some decrepit, rusted out truck off the road with
where he's not hidden at all.
With a sawed-off shotgun. And his love interest is in the Jaguar, the white Jaguar, like maybe 100 feet away.
Yeah.
They would have never seen her in any way, shape, or form. So Denim Guy and the drug lord, obviously they hit the road spikes, they're sitting there. Denim Guy gets out, looks at the tires. Gunblast gets up and says, "No, I got this 7-Up bag. Toss all the money in here, you son of a bitch." Whatever. And they proceed to have a standoff. Slowly, the love interest drives the white Jaguar up the road. Denim Guy doesn't notice this.
You're right.
And because it's edited so poorly, you're not given any sense of space of where anything's happened.
Right.
All of a sudden, he turns around when the shot of the car gets close enough to the camera. He turns around, and we're supposed to believe that maybe he got hit or he jumped out of the way, but it's never shown.
Never.
And all of a sudden, Gunblast gets up and grabs a gun off the ground.
Which I think is supposed to be Denim Guy's.
Yep.
And he dropped it. I think so.
Yeah,
because he didn't have the gun at that point. He'd gotten hit, quote unquote, by the car.
It was a large caliber handgun.
Large caliber handgun, right? They mentioned that, right? And Gunblast has already been shot at this point by Denim Guy, not bleeding, but apparently not in pain. And then they get the money. And then Gunblast and Maria drive off, and then the fucking Denim Guy's just like, "Oh shucks." He seriously does like a I can't he kind of does one of those like, "Oh darn it," kind of like throws his fist a little. I can't describe that motion over the podcast, but you know what I mean.
The movie was kind of like playing Cowboys and Indians when you were 6. You have to pretend you're shooting each other. Pretend there's blood.
There's one sound effect that's used for every gun in the entire movie.
But the most important part of the scene, you guys, don't forget, Denim Guy is in his own shot. Gunblast is in his own shot, and never ever do you see them in the same shot together.
And love interest is also in a completely separate shot.
Their own separate, never. Why did Nick Millard never think that they should be in the same shot together? Is there a reason?
Because they were all shot at completely separate times.
I mean, he must have been like, I'm going to shoot these scenes, and then I'll go get some lunch or some fucking Coke, and I'll come back and I'll shoot these other scenes, and I'll just fix it in post.
Light meter. What's that?
No, it seemed like it was a couple years later. He kind of forgot the story.
That's probably
then
true.
Shot a couple scenes.
Or he started shooting it, and he's just like, I'm bored of this piece of shit. But then someone's like, hey,
you got to finish this.
You got to finish this piece of shit. You want your 10K? It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess.
All right,
sure.
So Gunblast and the love interest are driving away.
Yep.
They only drive half a mile, and Gunblast goes, "Hey, pull over here at about 100 feet or so." Because he's got shot, and all of a sudden he has blood. Because when he got shot by Denim Guy, there was no blood.
Right, there was none.
So they drive not even a mile away from him and stop at the side of the road.
To the sign that says International Border, which is meant to be, I guess, it's Mexico and the
U.S. border.
Yeah, and then they couldn't get across, and they're stuck in Mexico still. Which then Denim Guy and other crime syndicate guy had figured out at this point, and they realize, because the one crime syndicate guy is Gunblast's love interest X. So he's like, she only knows one person in Mexico, and it's
Dutch Golden Girl.
Dutch Golden Girl, whatever the fuck they called her, their Dutch friend. So then they go to they assume that's where they're at.
B. Arthur kind of looking woman.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Hot B. Arthur looking woman. And so then they go there for the final showdown.
Where Gunblast and Denim Guy, and in two shots, we're again supposed to believe that they're maybe 10, 12 feet away from each other, shooting just over and there's at least 7 shots of them shooting back and forth with the same sound effect over and over
and the shot keeps changing, but they're never in the same shot.
Yeah, it was like a mallet hitting a metal
sheet metal. Yeah,
a lunch tray basically.
And there was a really good scene that's still confusing me that might have been the most artistic shot of the whole thing. Okay, so
set this up.
So Denim Guy comes into a hotel room, and then in there is one of the girls from earlier that I mentioned that had the very assertive eyeshadow, and she's in this room for some reason, but she is standing on like a balcony. You could see this. It's nighttime behind her. There's a balcony, but Denim Guy had walked into this hotel room from a ground level during the daytime, and he says something. They're talking again, not in the same shot at all, and then when they show one part where they show Denim Guy and there's a disembodied voice that says, "Do you want to make love to me?"
No, it's Bela Lugosi. It's Bela Lugosi. It's like the female Bela Lugosi goes, "Come on, baby, make love to me."
Yeah.
Do you want to make love to
And that's
me?
the first time you're led to believe that they're maybe in the same room. Anybody. Like, otherwise, this whole movie, like, you could have been like, oh, they're not in the same room at all.
I don't think Jodorowsky could have done that scene better.
No, right. No, not at all. No, not at all.
So Gunblast kills everybody. The crime syndicate, the two guys in the crime syndicate are dead.
Which he leaves he leaves Denim Guy's gun with him after he kills him with it.
He shoots Denim Guy. He shoots Denim Guy, walks over to him, and just drops the murder weapon out of him.
Here you go. I'll leave this for the police so they.
All right, he literally leaves the smoking gun.
Here's my fingerprints on the gun that I used to kill this guy. And so the cops will just figure this out. I'm just going to head out. Like, you know?
Jesus Christ. And our romantic pair drive off into the sunset.
Yeah, and that's right. And the whole time because that scene took forever too. That was a good solid minute of them driving off towards a mountain, like in fucking Arizona or something. And I'm like, there's no way this is the end of this movie. And sure the fuck enough, it was.
Sure shit. That's the end of the movie. So that's Gunblast.
Did they get the money?
They did.
Yes, they got it all.
They got to keep the money because they shot the main head crime syndicate guy.
And they got the bag.
And they had the bag.
7-Up bag.
So they got yep. So it was a happy ending. It was Gunblast and his lady driving off to I guess trying to go towards the U.S. border, and they're gonna have all this money, and God knows what the fuck they're doing now.
They're
dead.
No to Gunblast 3.
Right.
Yeah. I'm familiar with Amy on this. They're at some rando hotel, and he's sucking on her nipples.
Totally. Well, let's see.
No, mushing his face.
This was 86, and he was like 64. So if he's alive, he's like 90 something, and she's probably like in her 60s, and he's probably still fucking sucking on her nipples.
Yeah. Well, that's about all he can do.
It's the same shot. Nick Millard is still shooting the same shot, although I think Nick Millard might be dead. I'm not sure. But if he's alive, he's definitely still shooting the same shot right now of him going to town on her nipples. And then another thing that tripped me out was how her nipples were way longer and bigger from scene to scene.
So, Amy.
Yes.
We've finished Gunblast.
Thank God.
Would you ever want to watch another Nick Millard movie after this?
Oh, are they all like this kind of story?
We don't know. The first part of Gunblast might be a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Bullshit. But the Nick Millard person, is this the same? Does he always write like this? Is this the storyline?
I mean, Death Nurse 1 and 2 are definitely not action movies. They're like more like slashers.
Arguably, this wasn't an action movie either.
But are they interesting? Are they good? Are they funny? Are they anything?
I mean, I think you would laugh at Death Nurse in certain parts, but Death Nurse has way more parts where nothing happens, and then you get occasionally like a large woman killing someone else. She's a nurse, by the way. Hey, you like nurses?
Well, I mean, I am one.
Right. See, so there you go. So then you can relate to this character.
So I would watch these movies if other people were watching them, and I probably would have a cocktail or something else also to do.
Next time. So, did you enjoy this experience watching this movie?
Well, you guys are fun. I did not like this movie. I didn't. Like making fun of the movie was fun.
I think last time, because we watched last season, and I still think that's great, a great film. That was the first thing we watched.
I agree. I thought that was a really good one too.
And so that I feel like is something, if you like the genre, if you like shot video movies, you should see that thing. Assuming a Gunblast, let's just, for sake of argument, say it's a shot and video flick, even though I don't think it is.
It's not.
It's not. Do I think this is essential viewing? I'm going to say not the whole movie. I'm going to say if you can find just the two scenes, the one where the guy says, "You killed my woman."
Denim Guy. Any scene that Denim Guy is.
Yeah, you could skip literally just, okay, so watch one, find it on YouTube. Watch one scene of nipple sucking, watch the Denim Guy scenes, and then you're good to go, I think. I don't know there's anything else you need to watch in this thing.
No, none.
And you could seriously sum up the whole movie in about 5 minutes, maybe?
I would say that would be probably about 10 minutes of the movie.
Say 10 minutes. You could have this movie in 10 minutes. The other 55 minutes, do something else. Use it productively.
This is a phone viewing movie if I've ever seen one, where you could plunk this son of a bitch in, have friends with you. You could fuck around on your phone. You can sit and talk over it, which we did profusely over this because nothing really happens.
Yeah.
Did you like this movie?
Oh boy, that's a loaded term. You know, I don't think as a whole it was something that I would say I enjoyed, but you know, it's hard for me to say that I hated it either because it had so many things in it that brought me joy. Like, I mean, first off, you know, obviously there's nude women in it, so, you know, I don't hate that.
Yeah.
And even though the scenes were ridiculous, that Denim Guy, all the scenes with him in it were unbelievably hilarious.
Priceless.
Yeah. Some of the funniest shit I've seen. I do like, you know, shitty Eurocrime flicks, but a lot of those still have more stuff happening. There's like action packed at times. There's like just like chase scenes. There's car chases. There's, you know, good fights and stuff.
Yeah.
This had virtually none of that. I mean,
this had nothing going on in it.
This had some very, very restrained action scenes that, and I would say restrained, I mean probably just incompetently shot and orchestrated action scenes that, you know, aside from being funny, had no depth. So do I think this is a movie that people need to see? No. Do I think there's a few shots people should watch? Yeah. Did I like it? I liked it more than I disliked it, but I'm going to say no. In summation, I didn't like it.
I'm so disappointed in both of your reactions to this movie. Yeah? I fucking loved this movie.
The whole thing? Okay.
Why?
Everything?
This movie brought me so much joy.
Good.
You didn't even watch half of it.
Oh, I watched the whole thing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I watched the whole thing. I was glued to the screen.
I think there was a lot to like here, though. I will say that. I'll say there's a lot to like.
You're changing your story. What?
I have not laughed that hard at a movie.
It's true.
This is when I pop in shot on video. I expect, like, bar none, my expectation is that it's going to be horse shit. Almost every single time, my expectation is that it's going to be awful.
Yep.
And when I find one that I laugh, it's a success. I don't care if it's shitty. I don't care if I was bored half the time.
Yeah.
There were scenes in this movie that had me dying. I was laughing so hard.
That's a good point. I mean, I think for a lot of shot and video flicks, there's always going to be elements and scenes that I really like. But, you know, I can't say that I've loved and liked every shot and video movie that I've seen. This is staying in my collection. Just by virtue of the scenes.
I would put this on the mantle. Oh, yeah. I would put Gunblast out there. So when anybody walked into my house, they'd be like, "Hey, what is Gunblast?" And I would put it in.
No, you would tell them the 1 minute quick version.
No. Let me set the scene here, folks. You got Gunblast sitting on the mantle by the TV. People walk in, and you're sitting there having a nice conversation. Somebody looks up and goes, "Hey, what is Gunblast? Talk to me about this."
Yeah.
I say, hold on a minute. I walk into the kitchen. I open a nice bottle of Merlot, a couple glasses. I bring those glasses in and go, sit down, my friend. Let us watch this cinematic masterpiece that is Gunblast.
You might need the rest of the bottle of Merlot.
You might need 4 bottles of it. God. And in that way, yes. I think it's very entertaining. And, Death Nurse, I mean, if people ask me if I like Death Nurse, I would say that I do. I think I like Death Nurse better than this, only because Death Nurse is such an exercise in futility. It really is just like a movie that tries to do something and kind of does
fails at everything.
It fails at almost every level, and I love it for that way.
That's Gunblast for sure.
But Gunblast is successful at 2 things. Nipples.
Which is the cheapest special effect on earth.
It really is. Nipples, female nipples specifically, And
there are male nipples. Gunblast is topless through half of this movie.
You're right, that's true. But I didn't enjoy that as much as I enjoyed the female nipples.
Of course. Well, of course. I mean, I don't know how much. If you're into old guys, it's fine. I mean, no shaming there.
Specifically, old guy nipples.
Yeah, no kink shaming here.
If you like old guy nipples, this is the good one.
Yeah.
So female nipples and denim guy. Those are the two things it succeeds at infinitely. Because every scene with those in it, fantastic. Overall, man, it's tough for me to say that I loved it.
Don't fall for it.
No, there's no falling for it. I'm not changing. He's not wrong in that it is enjoyable. And I've seen far worse, like I was mentioning earlier, that 357 Magnum, which is the other movie.
Yeah, the original.
The original of this too, is available on a double release with a movie called Death Shot. And that movie, Death Shot, is fucking horrendous. The whole thing is just like random action scenes and garbage that goes nowhere. And it's from 1972, so you can just imagine how it looks and how it's shot. It's horrible. And so, that I didn't like. I liked Gunblast a hell of a lot better than that. I'm guessing I'll love 357 Magnum probably more than Death Shot. And by virtue of it being Nick Millard, I do like it. Do I think it's mandatory viewing for everyone? No. I can't say that.
I think part of the problem is you guys keep talking about shittier movies, so this one's great because of how many shittier movies you've seen. I haven't seen enough shittier movies.
Oh boy.
Maybe that's the problem.
Well, now that you're hanging out with Derek, you're gonna see he will find you the shittiest of shitty. I mean, I think if you really are nice to Derek, he'll show you Andy Milligan movies.
I don't even want to watch those fucking things. I'm halfway through this on this podcast, finally watching these Andy Milligan gimmicks, and I'm ready for it to be done.
I mean, I think, Andy Milligan flicks, oh boy, that's a different level. I don't even know how to describe those.
I know how to describe them. Bullshit. They're bullshit.
Do you like Quasimodos?
Do you like movies where guys get their hands chopped off?
Oh my god! And if not one, occasionally two.
What about movies that constantly have an incest angle thrown in them for no reason whatsoever?
Right. Do these sound like your kind of flicks?
Still waiting for something I would like to see. No.
Oh, and by the way, it looks like it was shot in the 1960s and 70s because it was shot in the 1960s.
Yeah.
So take all those elements and make them.
So it's a poorly shot.
Mm-hmm.
No hands, incest movie.
What's Quasimodos?
What?
There's Torture Dungeon has a threesome, has a proposed threesome scene with the Quasimodo. Legit, that's a real thing. So, anyways, Gunblast. I could be more happy that we watched this today. I thoroughly loved this movie,
and I enjoyed the time I spent with you guys watching it, and I had a blast with much of it, and I would say overall it's a thumbs up for me.
No, yeah.
Oh, I laughed a couple times. You guys are funny, but no.
Okay, Amy's a big thumbs down on this. For all the people that know me and know the pageantry I bring forth with my love for really shitty horse shit. If you love stuff like Howling New Moon Rising, you should watch Gunblast.
Oh yeah, agreed.
This is up there with Howling New Moon Rising.
Not enough country line dancing and third person werewolf killing scenes
or zipper dance numbers.
Right. That movie I love. You've changed my life with Howling New Moon Rising.
That makes me. You don't know how happy that makes me.
It's great. I think it's awesome.
Have you watched it since?
I watched it twice.
Yes,
it's awesome.
Suck on it, haters.
It's a piece of cinematic mastery that I can't describe. It's probably the best Howling movie. Howling 2 is good. Howling 2 is great because it has Christopher Lee in it.
Yes.
Howling 7 is great because it's a complete pile of garbage. And at the same time, masterful.
Oh God, that's exactly how I feel about Gunblast.
All right.
So I am going to watch Gunblast multiple times.
You should. And if you see anything that we missed, please let me know because I feel like I got everything I'm going to get from it, but I want to see that scene in the middle, like I said, with Denim Guy and the you fuck my woman scene. I could watch that scene 100 times.
I could watch that 2-minute scene.
I could watch probably a solid minute or two of nipple play from that first lady.
It's not good nipple play. Everyone looks bored. They're not enjoying it.
Well, I mean, it's the 1970s, and sex was different then.
It wasn't enjoyable.
Nipples were so different back then.
Right. Cocaine played a lot of parts in things.
Oh, Christ. So there you have it, folks. We're going to take a break.
I've been working all day for me mate on the side, running around like a blue-ass fly. I've been working all day for me mate. Every bleeding minute I've been on the go, up and down the ladder like a fiddler's elbow. I've been working.
Hold on. Before we get to the rest of the episode and all the great segments like the bottom rack and that wrestling gimmick, we need to clear up a few things that we discovered after we recorded this. Usually when we do the shot on video episodes, I travel down to my bud Eric's house, we pick out a VHS tape, and then we sit and watch the movie. Now, we liked this movie so much that we traded links because 357 Magnum, which supposedly is the first movie of the Gunblast series. We're going to call it the Gunblast series because that's what we watched, obviously. It's what the fucking title of the show is. He sent me the link, which is on YouTube, and I found a copy of Gunblast, which is, once you start the movie, titled Mac 10. Now, upon further research, Mac 10 internationally supposedly is Gunblast. But let me burst the bubble for everyone out there on the internet that's been labeling it as such. Mac 10 is not Gunblast. We have a completely different movie here. 357 Magnum happens before Gunblast. Gunblast has a movie before it called Mac 10. So from what I gather, because I haven't watched all of both of them, I watched most of Mac 10, and it's just as fucking hilarious as Gunblast is. Maybe on a future episode, we'll cover the other two movies. But from what I gathered from the short amount of time that I watched both of the other two movies, which I would say is about maybe 30 minutes, I watched like 10 minutes of 357 Magnum and about 20 minutes of Mac 10, is that chronologically, 357 Magnum happens first. Then Mac 10, then Gunblast. I would love for somebody out there to find this out for sure, because I cannot find any information on the web about these three movies, or actually about Mac 10. It's a mystery. Everything that I've read claims that Mac 10 and Gunblast are the exact same movie, and that is just patently not the case. I have the proof. The tape that Eric had that we watched came in a case that was labeled Gunblast. With the cover, if you type into Google Gunblast, you will see this case. On the inside, the tape had a label on it that said Gunblast. When you put the movie in, there was an interstitial title that said Gunblast. Now, I got this file off of Cinemageddon. Mac 10 was labeled Gunblast on Cinemageddon. When you press play on it, there's a title that says Mac 10. Gunblast is nowhere to be found. The movie starts with some goober in the middle of a field, shot so far away from the camera that it looks like he's jerking off. But all we hear is gunfire, like a machine gun fire. We cut in, and it's a dude with a toy Uzi shooting, but nothing's coming out of the gun, obviously, because it's a toy. First thing you notice, this is shot on video. fucking Gunblast sure shit wasn't shot on video. But we got 5 minutes of this fucking Yahoo in the middle of a field with the toy Uzi shooting with a sound effect. Then walking around, I don't know. I laughed so hard. It didn't make any sense. And then it goes into the movie where we have one of the dudes, the older guy from Gunblast. He's in this movie. The character we labeled Gunblast is in this movie. So it's got to be tied in somehow. I'm going to have to finish it. I'm going to have to figure out more. But if you, listener, faithful listener of Astro Radio Z, know anything about these three, please go to the All the Gimmicks Facebook group, chime in, or on the Astro Radio Z Facebook page, chime in, or email me at astroradiozpodcast@gmail.com and tell me what the fuck is going on. Do we have an actual action, quote unquote, action trilogy on our hands? Because what I can see, there are 3 movies. So that's what I found out. I had to place this in here because I couldn't end the episode after, we're a couple days out from recording the episode at this point, and Eric and I have sat and had conversations going, what the fuck is this? Why is nobody talking about this? How could nobody have noticed this? I don't think anyone's actually watched Gunblast. There's one site that I found, Trash Film Guru, that reviewed the movie we watched. So if you look that review up, which is a fun review, he actually watched the same one we did. But if you look anywhere else, every other source will claim that Mac 10 is the international version of Gunblast, and it is just not the case. Completely different movie. So anyways, let's get back to the episode. This was just an editorial note and an update. So the mystery continues. Let's forge forward.
Come in, damn it. You're sure a punctual bastard.
Hey there, smut lovers. Balls deep in a dirty little addiction to movies where werewolves kidnap and rape women for Dracula? Or perhaps you're a kinky pink freak who loves to watch mad men and women tie up and punish unsuspecting suckers, pouring hot wax on their aching naked flesh and driving them around the living room like pretty little ponies? Wait, I know. You love nothing more than a sweet topless self-flagellation session before the cross following oral indiscretions with a saucy satanic sister, you secret nunsploitation fan. We cordially invite your sinful self to join our shameless selves for the podcast at Orgy Castle. Exercise all that salty deviance from your system with hosts Paula and Derek as they pick one smutty film a week to indulge in and discuss. The podcast at Orgy Castle is on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and anywhere you can find podcasts. Go, subscribe, come as many times as you want. Nobody will know but you and your headphones.
Astro Radio Zine.
Sorry, I couldn't help it. I'm Daniel, and this is The Bottom Rack. I was trying to think of a funny way to do it, like one of those old samurai films or something, but without sounding overtly ignorant. But it's not necessarily going to work. But at least it's not as bad as the Dave Chappelle, Rick James thing. But anyway, that was pretty stupid. That was so. I watched a movie with Christopher Lambert, and it wasn't The Highlander. However, he had a sword. I watched The Hunted. Now, this movie came out in 1995. I had never heard of it. And it probably would have been on the bottom shelf at the video store, but I don't think it would have been on the very bottom shelf of it. This is more of it's a drama / action. It was good. I'm trying to I maybe should have thought about this before actually doing the thing, but I'm trying to compose some thoughts here. So let's get The Hunted. Came out in 1995. It's an action drama thriller. It stars Christopher Lambert, Joan Chen, and I'm trying to think, some dude, I think I've seen him before, but all right, he goes by the name John Lone, but I can't recall if I've seen him or not. But it's the usual. It's got people that you've seen before that never really go, just mainly your character actors and stuff. So let's get to the cover of this particular film, the poster here. We've got The Hunted with, of course, the title characters up top. You've got Christopher Lambert staring at you with his Christopher Lambert look that he normally does, whether it's Connor McLeod or Raiden or this, it's the same look. You've got ninjas on the left-hand side with what looks like a subway train or a bullet train or something. And then at the bottom, you got Joan Chen laying there on top of the title. It's a very cool cover. It just reeks of the 90s. And if ninjas are your thing, well, then it's like, wow, I think I might have to watch this. So here's the synopsis. A New Yorker on business in Nagoya meets a lady in the hotel bar. Returning to her room, 3 ninjas kill her and wound him. He sees the ninja boss's face. Ninjas try to kill him again, but new samurai friends help, hide, and train him. What an elegantly concise synopsis. That's it. Christopher Lambert is on a business trip in New York. I don't know why, and I don't care. Seriously, computer chips is what they call it, because it actually comes up. He meets Joan Chen in a bar. They go back to the hotel room, and they bang. Afterward, she seems sad. She thanks him for his time, and he's just love struck, just done. He is head over heels for Joan Chen. And who can blame him, might I add? Anyway, you get to see Joan Chen in a hot tub. Anyway, so he's head over heels. He's talking about he's going to cancel his flight. He's going to spend some time with her and stuff. And she's like, nah, you need to go. And he's like, oh, I get it. And she's like, no, I'm really happy, blah, 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 but you gotta leave. So he begrudgingly leaves. When he leaves, ninjas walk into the hotel room. It's kind of like American Ninja. Apparently, this place is lousy with ninjas. They would lead you to believe that in Japan, ninjas are just walking down the street. So anyway, Christopher Lambert leaves, and ninjas come in. They talk to the chick, whatever, and then the one takes his mask off and says, well, you've seen my face. No one sees my face and lives. And she's taunting him blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'll kill you, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, go ahead. And he's like, how you want it? And yada, yada, kills her. Well, as Christopher Lambert is leaving, he looks down and he's like, oh my God, I've still got the hotel room key. So he goes back up. Well, then he hears a commotion and slowly inserts the key in the door and opens it up and goes in, and he sees ninjas around. Well, then, of course, they kill Joan Chen. And he's like, no, and he runs to stop, and then they turn around and start chucking ninja stars at him and stuff, slice at him, cut his throat pretty bad. And so he saw the killer's face. Well, that's the big tagline, is because you're never supposed to see the killer's face. So the whole rest of the movie, basically Christopher Lambert gets embroiled in an ancient familial struggle, like a family struggle between the samurai and the ninja. And a samurai and his smoking hot, beautiful, just not in a horrible, seductive face. She's just gorgeous wife. Sorry to go on, but she was very striking. I'll just admit it. She was very pretty. Anyway, the samurai get Christopher Lambert, and while trying to hide him, and the ninjas keep coming for him. And so there's a really cool sequence of fighting on a train. Like, it's very Japanese, even though this wasn't a Japanese film. It was really cool. Like, in a way, I kind of wish this could have been an American Ninja film. Hell, the way that the franchise was going at the end of its run, this could have been, and it would have been one of the best. The gore in this movie is cool. The blood, the acting's decent. Like, it's a low budget film, but not really. I mean, it's just action flick, a mid-90s by the numbers action drama. Nothing more, nothing less. Really good. I seem to be finding these movies rather frequently lately. No, it was really good. Had good choreographed sword fights. Nothing was overly melodramatic except for parts where you would expect it to be, because again, it's about a family drama in Japan between samurai and ninja. And so there's going to be nods to that drama, but it's not overplayed. It's just, it's what you would expect. And a lot of that falls into the Japanese culture, their stoic culture and sense of honor. And they're duty bound and honor bound and compelled to do certain things. And that plays in with this film a lot. Now, as far as Christopher Lambert learning to be a samurai, I kind of don't really buy that. And that's kind of what, apparently somebody else doesn't buy that, if you heard that laughter. Anyway, I don't really buy it. It's like Christopher Lambert, he's attacked by ninjas who've been doing this for a long time. And he's picked up a sword for like 5 minutes and learned from an old drunk how to swing the sword and stuff. And yet he's taken on these ninja who have been doing this for decades. I don't buy it. I don't really deal with that, but again, fortunately he doesn't have to do much of it. So again, this isn't like a Highlander film. There's no big time training montage or nothing. You're immortal, McCloud. There's nothing like that with him telling him the rules or nothing. This is just, he's being hunted, hence the beauty of the title, The Hunted. They are hunting Christopher Lambert, and he is being aided by a samurai so that the ninjas don't get him. Again, there is a scene in the train that's just brutal. It's really cool. It is really brutal, but it's really, really good. Nice choreography to it. There's the final sequences and scenes to it are really good as well. But just in all, I was not disappointed. It's an hour and 50 minutes long. It's a little lengthy for what I normally watch if I'm just watching a movie. It's a little lengthy on that, but it was compelling enough for me to enjoy the film. That was one. It's not boring. Did this movie live up to the poster art? Yeah, it did, actually. You've got Christopher Lambert staring at you. So, I mean, that's enough to get a lot of people to watch it. But you've also got ninjas on the cover with a train, and then you got Joan Chen in a semi-slight state of undress. So, yeah, you actually do get that. The movie lives up to the promise made on the poster. So this has been The Hunted. There's really not too much more to say about it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And probably, I don't think this one would have been on like the bottom rack at a Blockbuster. Maybe on the bottom to mid tier kind of thing. I doubt it would have been on the top shelf, depending on what section they would have put it in. Because if it would have been in like the thriller section, it might have made it on the top shelf until they started doing that whole alphabetical thing, in which case, who knows. If you found this at Walmart, you might find it on the bottom. Actually, if you found this now, you would find it in like the $3 bin of DVDs. And it's totally worth the $3. If you found it for $3, it's almost a 2 hour long movie that's got samurai and ninja, some blood, sword fights, ninja stars. Seriously, there you go. It's not as action packed as a Nintendo kid might want, but it's got just enough action that you'd enjoy it. It's really cool. So anyway, that was The Hunted. I am the Daniel, and this is the Bottom Rack.
local cable company. To order your WCW merchandise, pay-per-view.
Somebody get the gun! Promotional consideration paid for by the following. 1, 2, 3.
All right, folks, this is That Wrestling Gimmick on the Astro Radio Z Network. I'm your host, Dustin Faish, and today I have Eric Woodard on the show, a man of many gimmicks, a true road dog with over 18 years in the business. So let's talk about your food. Let's talk about your diet on the road. I know you guys have some certain food that you enjoy eating. Could you elaborate on that?
Personally, well, I've always liked finding any kind of like locally owned mom and pop kind of place. Like if I'm in a good town, I normally ask around like, where can I eat that's not a chain? Like what's good here? What's the local culture like? And those are the places I like, regardless of what kind of food it is. I like to know what the independent, the family owned, family ran. Because then you're not just getting a meal, you're getting a part of their lifeblood, their experience, their passion, their lifeblood goes into that food. Sometimes it's funny, like even if they're kind of an asshole or kind of cranky or just kind of their disposition, there's still a good vibe there. You know what I mean? It's almost like when you watch what's his name, the Gordon Ramsay guy on TV when it comes to food. You know, if he's cussing you out, it's not because he's an asshole, it's because they're serving food that might kill somebody. Yeah, it comes from a place of passion rather than just being an asshole.
You know, one thing about being on the road is, at least for me, like if we're traveling from town to town doing shows, I got to stay on a kind of a regular decent diet or my stomach gets all fucked up.
Well, and it's hard too, especially the further you're driving. I mean, it's hard to eat good on the road or healthy on the road, but you can find there's some really tasty spots. The only problem is sometimes, like let's say there's 12-hour drive between your Friday night show and your Saturday night show. There's no real time to get a hotel, no time to sit and eat. You just got to get back on the road and roll out for the next day, and get to the next town. So
right.
There aren't a lot of drive-through windows. Him and I are both a big fan of whenever we find one, we're a big fan of the Godfather's Express. If you get a Godfather's pizza in a gas station, we zero in on those. We've got them mapped out from Kansas to Chicago, man. We know what pretty much they all are.
He is not kidding. These guys love Godfather's Pizza. If anybody deserves a Godfather sponsorship, it is you two guys.
Yeah, Godfathers, wake the hell up, man. We'll put you back on the map.
We've been paying your light bill for years.
A couple years ago, I kind of half joked, and we never did it, but we talked about going because their headquarters is in Omaha, which is semi-regular, off and on spot for us. So we'd actually thought about filming some spots out at the Godfather's headquarters, like kind of DX Invasion style.
You guys tag them every time too. I mean, they know.
They've given us a few social media shout outs, whatever. Not as much as Old Milwaukee. The Old Milwaukee's recognized a little more than they have, but that doesn't pay the bills either. So.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Because that's what we want. We want rematches because this time when we play the tune, it'll be loud and clear.
So, this is the end of the episode, portion of the show where my guest shamelessly shows the fuck out of you, Mr. Eric. Show my audience, please.
Show. What can I show? I still play music, of course, and I think I talk about that in Squib Central before already. But keep an eye out for Northless stuff happening. We got a new drummer now. We'll be playing out more, and I hope we'll have a new record next year. That's fingers crossed. And then if you haven't checked out my solo project, Cyrictus, yet, that record's available. You can pick it up online, or for me, preferably through the Bandcamp, because that's just easier for me to track orders and things. And then my second band, Ara, our record is going to come out sometime this year, I hope.
I can't wait for that, man.
Oh, thank you. It's been over a year that we've been working. Well, I mean, it's recorded. We're just waiting for everything else to fall into place.
Sure.
So it's all happening slowly but surely, but this day and age, stuff doesn't always happen instantaneously. So that's about what I have to show at the moment,
Awesome. So do you have an idea for what may be coming for us next Shout Out video episode? Have you thought this through?
I do think, and even though I've seen this movie before, I want if we're gonna, I kind of almost think we should alternate a little bit.
Oh, do you want me to pick one?
Well, you can pick one if you want.
Or what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is, so we started off with last season, which is fantastic.
Which was an action movie.
Right.
Survival action movie.
Right. And then we have Gunblast, which is an action movie, and it's
quote unquote action movie.
And it's an enjoyable piece of hot garbage.
Yes.
So the next movie I wanted to show is a horror movie. It's a slasher.
Finally.
And it's a really awesome, well done flick. And basically, if it had a bigger budget, it would have been considered a slasher classic. If you'd have seen it, on any shelf in a video store and rented it, it would be like, what's a good example? You ever see that movie Edge of the Axe?
Yes.
Okay. So you know how awesome that is, and not everybody knows about it?
Yeah.
It would be, if this movie that I'm referencing had the Edge of the Axe budget, it would be as big as that is now.
Okay.
The problem is it's rare, and not a lot of people know about it, and it gets shot on video, and you're automatically turning off a huge segment of the population because they don't want to watch some fucking camcorder movie, but they don't realize it's actually shot by a professional guy who knows what he's doing. The only difference is it's on a beta cam instead of...
It's the format.
Right, it's the format. So I won't name the name. I want people to sort of be shocked, I guess, when they...
Okay.
I want everybody to come into this with no preconceptions.
All right, so that's it. Amy, your first podcasting experience. What do you think of this?
Oh, this was something.
It was something.
It was something.
That's
nice.
That's the perfect way to end this episode. So, all right, guys, have a good one. You can find Astro Radio Z on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, TuneIn, and anywhere that podcasts are found. Please subscribe, share, rate, and review. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and email us questions, concerns, or just general chatter at astroradiozpodcast@gmail.com. You want to hear more than just the regular show? Go over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/allthegimmicks and get not only bonus episodes of Astro Radio Z, but other podcasts like All the Gimmicks and the podcast at Orgy Castle, all for the low price of $1 a month. Coming from me, Derek Carey, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.